If you're over 55 and play live poker, most players at the table have already made a very specific assumption about you, and that assumption can actually become one of the biggest advantages you have if you know how to use it. After thousands of hours studying and playing live low-stakes poker, I figured out exactly how you can exploit this. So in this video, I'll show you the one adjustment you need to make to print money if you're over 55. I discovered this strategy recently when one of my viewers, an earlier retiree with a good grasp of live poker, emailed me to say that he was struggling at the poker table. He wrote, "My game has gone into stagnation. I am losing a lot of big hands and also fear that I am not getting enough when I have the best of it." Whenever he made a good hand, he couldn't extract any value, and on the flip side, he would pay other players off or he would chase big draws only to not get paid when the draws came in or to lose when they didn't come in. If this sounds familiar, then keep watching, because most over 55s I've worked with have had this exact problem. And it's really easy to capitalize on it, actually. In just one coaching session, I showed my student how to flip the script, and almost immediately his results improved. And this strategy is what I'm going to share with you today. The problem that pretty much every player over roughly the age of 55 faces is that they are perceived as total nits who only put money into the pot with big hands or big draws. And I don't blame anyone for making this assumption, because most older players play exactly like that. They overbet the flop to protect their overpair on a draw-heavy board, or they limp raise their pocket aces to a huge size pre-flop to make sure that they don't get called. Also, they virtually never bluff except maybe as a one-off c-bet on the flop, and they only put more money into the pot when they're almost certain they have the best hand. In the past, this didn't matter too much because there were still lots of players in these games who only played their own cards and didn't pay any attention to any tendencies their opponents displayed. And don't get me wrong, these games still exist. You can still absolutely be a winning player by playing tight ABC style poker without ever bluffing. But if you play in slightly tougher games where players are a bit more observant, you will probably only break even or have a tiny win rate with this strategy. But the solution is really simple. All you have to do is basically break your opponent's expectation from you. And now I'll show you the 3 steps you have to make to do just that. Step number 1 might rattle your identity, but once you start doing this, I promise you that you will never want to go back to playing your old style because it is so profitable. Here, you want to do the exact opposite of what you would normally do with a hand that you have. Let me show you an example of what I mean. Say a player raises to 10 from middle position in a 1-2 game, and you call in the big blind with Queen Jack suited. The flop comes King 8-4 rainbow. You don't have much here, so when your opponent bets half pot, you would normally fold in this spot, right? And this is the play that I would normally advocate for most of the time too. But if your opponent is a bit observant, this is the perfect spot to come up with a play that they would never expect from you. You can just put in a healthy check raise to around 45, and I think you'll get a fold more than 75% of the time. You might now say,
"But Andreas, this board is great for our opponent's range. How can I raise there with nothing?"
well, that's exactly the point. Yes, this board looks good for our opponent's range, but they still miss it most of the time. And I'm almost certain that they'd fold most of the hands to a re-raise when they miss. But the beauty of this play is that many opponents will even fold a king or potentially even pocket aces in this spot if you have that image of a nit. I'm not 55 yet, but years ago I was perceived as a total nit. I would have players fold top pair face up to me when I raised them because they just couldn't believe that I was bluffing. So just raise a c-bet with nothing when you have such a tight image. But if you thought that this was a great play, wait until you see the next one. If you can pull this one off, your win rate can become on par with one of the biggest crushers in your game. Say, this time you call with pocket 7s in the same scenario pre-flop. The flop this time is 9-4 deuce rainbow. Our opponent c-bets half pot again, and you decide to call because you have second pair, which might be good at this point. On a king turn, our opponent bets again, and this is where you need to do something that nobody will believe that you're capable of. You need to turn your pair into a bluff. Don't get me wrong, folding in this spot would be the standard play, and it would be fine. It just won't maximize your edge in this specific dynamic. But if you put in a healthy raise at this point, you will get villain to fold around 95% of their range. Unless they have a set, it will be very hard for them to continue. The check raise on the turn is one of the strongest moves you could ever make in the eyes of a good player. But what kind of opponents can you make this play against? They can't be beginners or really bad players. You have to target so-called regs, players who have played the game a lot. They don't necessarily have to be big winners in the game, but they need to be seasoned players. Also, any studied player, including professional players, are excellent targets for this. I can guarantee you that I'd fold almost everything to a turn check raise from someone I perceive to be an old man coffee or OMC type of player. But of course, you need to know how to profile these players, but worry not, because I've created a little cheat sheet to help you with that. In that, I'll show you how to profile every player type and, crucially, how to exploit the different types. Click the link below to get it for free or scan this QR code. There's one important thing to consider though. You can try these bluffs in heads-up pots or potentially if the pot goes 3 ways, but I wouldn't do it in super multi-way situations for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's likely that at least one player will have a hand to continue with, and secondly, because it's likely that at least one player will not be observant enough to realize that you are so tight. In multi-way pots, everyone has to just be a lot more honest and straightforward. In heads-up pots, I would use this bluff a lot though. But while this bluffing technique is extremely powerful, it is only part of what you need to do to maximize your win rate, because step 2 is almost equally important, and this one is about your strongest hands. If you remember, my viewer who emailed me complained that he doesn't get paid when he has a strong hand. This will always be a problem for tighter players unless their image changes. So if you make those bluff check raises all the time and you get called sometimes, then this might actually help with getting paid when you have a strong hand. However, there is also another way to make more money from your best hands, but again, you need to hold your nerves. Here's an example of what I mean. Say a maniac raises in middle position, the button calls, and you call in the big blind with pocket 5s. The flop is 7-5 deuce with 2 hearts. According to the cliche, older players will now either come out blasting, or if they're a bit more sophisticated, they'll wait for the maniac to bet and then they'll raise really big. In both scenarios, they basically shut out any action because they are terrified of the flush or the straight to come in. So, if we didn't have anything, I would actually like that play if we assume that our opponents are observant. But, as we said, the trick is to do the opposite of what's expected from us. Because we're dealing with an aggressive maniac, we can expect him to try to bluff us out of the pot. So the best thing to do would be to just call the c-bet. And even on a brick turn, I would just call. Because remember, if you raise at any point, this would be so strong that your opponent will likely just fold. So rather than raising, you sometimes have to hold your nerve and just call with strong hands, even if it means that sometimes you will get outdrawn. That wouldn't be the end of the world after all. But that leads me to step number 3, and this one is a very quick one, but it is a crucial one. The strategies that I taught my student and I showed you today work extremely well against somewhat studied or experienced players, but you have to avoid using them against your loose passive calling station that can't tell the difference between you and the maniac in seat 5. Against these players, you can continue to fast play your big hands and simply fold when you don't hit. The skill that's required there is to know which category your opponent falls in. As I said, I've created a little cheat sheet to help with that. click the link below to get it for free or scan this QR code. If you can characterize your opponents and use these counterintuitive exploits, your win rate will go a long way. But you still need to avoid one of the biggest mistakes I see players make at the live low stakes: calling on the river when they are beat. I have made a short video that shows you exactly what questions to ask yourself every time you face a river bet. If you follow this, your win rate could truly skyrocket, so watch this video next.